Welcome to the Walking Out Your Purpose podcast with yours truly, Alicia Smith. I am so excited to be here today to talk about something that my husband and I announced this week on Facebook. We are now completely debt free. We are on our journey to financial freedom and wealth building. And so, wanted to pop on to share with you all a few tips and a couple of ways that we have uh, journeyed together the last couple of years to get to this place. It has not been easy by any means. We've had to make some sacrifices. We've had to say no to some things, but there are some things that we didn't say no to as well. So I want to talk about that. So I'm going to share three principles that helped us on this journey, and also I'll share a couple of things that we did not sacrifice, things that we did not do or let go of, and just provide you with some thoughts overall on the journey. So number one is we budgeted. Yes, we budgeted, and you have to jot down everything, right? So if you know that your family members' birthdays are coming up and you plan to get them something, like I put that in the budget. I am the budgeter of the family. I keep the Excel spreadsheet. I tend to do it electronically. I don't do written out budgets. I do write out my plans in my planner, my personal plans. I love to write out that in a planner, but I don't know, budgeting, it just never worked for me. I tried to write it out. What works better for me is Excel because there are so many things coming in, going out, moving here, moving there. So I like to do it in Excel, but you do what works best for you. I've also tried Every Dollar. It's an app on your phone, Mint. I have tried that as well. So you definitely can use technology as to help in that area. So you have to budget. And so whether it's a birthday, whether it's Christmas, whether it is some type of special event, Delta dues, I'm part of the sorority. So we have dues every year. So all of those things need to go in your plan. And what I like to do is I like to plan out a year if I can, but sometimes I just do quarters. So I'll say, okay, for Q1, let's put out January through March, everything that we know is going to happen in that time frame. I also look back at previous budgets. Okay, how do we plan there? So plan for everything. That's number one in budget. Write it down. Write it down, type it, put it in an app, whatever works for you, and have sinking funds. And I don't know if you're familiar with sinking funds, but that definitely has saved us a lot. Sinking fund basically is you're putting money, you're saving, you're basically putting money away a little bit at a time for a future expense that you know you're going to have. So let's say Christmas is a prime example. So I know that we're going to spend $1,000 for Christmas. And so I'll say, okay, $1,000 divided by 11 because I have 11 months to plan for it. Because normally you're spending all the money in December, right? So you want to save for 11 months. So you take that $1,000 and we're going to do it together. So you're going to take that $1,000, whatever your budget is. I'm just using $1,000 divided by 11 months. That means every month you need to save $91. Okay. It's really $90.90, but let's just say $91. So that means every month you need to put that away in an account. Now I use Ally Bank for my sinking funds, and I use Michigan State University Federal Credit Union that I've been with since I went to college in 2002. But I use Michigan State for all of my normal banking needs, but for sinking funds, because I can get a little bit of interest on that money, I put those away in there. You can use all kind of platforms for your sinking funds, but that's just what I use. So it's Christmas, gifts. I know that I'm a giver. That's who I am, and so I know I need to save money for that because I'll just start blessing people. And Henry is like, is that in the budget? So I have a budget for giving, meaning just giving to people in need, giving when it's on my heart to just give. So I have that. Other sinking fund ideas may be, maybe you have Amazon Prime. So that's a good one. Take the money that it is every year that you pay an annual fee, divided by how many months you want to save. And there you go. Car insurance, sometimes you can pay by 6 months. So you get the drift. So that was important for us to have those sinking funds so that we didn't have to bust our budget, so to speak, when that certain thing came around, when we know it's going to happen every single month, year, quarter, what have you. So budget, write it down, get your favorite app or get a paper and pen or get Excel, whatever it is, write it down. Have sinking funds and plan for everything. My son loves Fortnite. If you have a son or you have a nephew or grandson, you know all about that. And so he likes to buy V-Bucks. And so, okay, we're like, listen, you get $40 a month for your V-Bucks. So every month I have a line item in the budget, Isaiah allowance for V-Bucks, and it's $40. And that's it. When we spend the $40, that's it. Now sometimes we get weak and he wanted, some more, but really we try to stick to that. We stick to that pretty much 90% of the time. So whatever that is, as I mentioned, my dues. So if you are part of an organization, you take whatever the amount is, divide it again by the number of months you want to save. So that way, when that big bill comes, you will have the money. So budgeting. Number two is all bonuses, tax returns, any type of extra money. When we sold our home in South Carolina, the proceeds from our home, all of that, a big chunk, if not all of it, went to debt. And that's hard because you like, oh, this is like $20,000 and you telling me to put that on debt instead of, saving some or going out on doing something fun, all of that good stuff. So that you have to make some sacrifices. So we made those sacrifices. So again, tax returns, any type of money that's coming to you, these stimulus checks, stuff like that, you want to use that to pay down your debt if that's your goal. I hope that it is because debt is bondage, and I don't want to be in any bondage. God says, "Oh no man, nothing but love." So we definitely, and He talks a lot about wealth and how you can bless others, and you should be in a position to do that all throughout Proverbs. So go read it. It's important that you know the principles there. So allocate the extra money. If you get a pay raise at work, obviously that's going to increase your pay depending on your cadence of getting paid. So think about how you can use that to help you increase the amount that you're paying towards debt. Okay. So that's another one. Number three is you're going to identify what you're willing to sacrifice, because I wasn't and or my husband was willing to sacrifice everything. Like we kept some things in our budget. For example, personal care is important to me. So getting my nails done, getting my hair done, making sure I get my pedicures and massages, that's important. I'm not taking out of the budget. Now, I may go to a lesser um, fee, like to a service that's going to cost a little bit less instead of going extravagant, but I'm not going to cut it out totally. That's for us. That's what worked for us. My husband, again, he's going to take his clothes to the cleaners. He's going to, do Starbucks. He's going to go to the vitamin store and spend all this money. So there are personal things that are important to him as well that, stay in the budget. And we just call it our allowance. And that's what we get. And that's how we spend. So you got to identify what you're willing to sacrifice. So for us, though, we had two vehicles. And when the pandemic happened, who was going anywhere? I was working from home and I'm still working from home a year later. So there was no need to have two vehicles. So we sold my husband's car. Now, some of you are probably like, what? Could never do that. But that sacrifice was okay for us. That worked for us because we didn't need two vehicles. And so, we sold our car. Another thing that we did, as I mentioned earlier, is when we sold our house in South Carolina, we took the proceeds. Thank God we had the proceeds, but we took the money there and we paid off my graduate student loans. So that's again a sacrifice, right? Because we could have used that for a down payment for a new home. We could have used that to go splurge a little bit. We could have used that for all kind of things. But my husband was like, "No, we're going to pay off your loans," and I'm so glad we did that. I of course fought him one during the time, but but I came around, and that's what we did. So I think you got to identify those things that you want to sacrifice. And then recently, I got a great bonus at work for the work that I've done, and it was a nice amount. And I was like, okay, what are we gonna do? And at that same time, a medical bill came in that we were not expecting, and it was like $5,000. And I'm like, I was planning to use this, use the money from the bonus to pay off my car and to do, save and to do a couple other things. And then this bill came for this medical bill. And so we had to make a choice, which I was like, listen, I want to be debt free. I'm paying it all off. So we used the bonus to pay off my car and to pay this medical bill and to pay some other little things. So you have to, again, decide. You got to make a choice, and you got to stick to the plan, and you have to know why, right? For me and my husband, we're really big on legacy, wealth building, doing something that we haven't seen done before in our family. So wanting to be able to bless people just like that, right? Wanting to have millions of dollars when we retire, right? Wanting to bless our children to go to college for free and not have to worry about student loans. So in order to do all of those things, you have to have money, and you can't be tied into paying all these bills and paying off all, still paying on debt. So that's our why. And so that motivates us. So that's kind of number four. I said three tips, but your four is you got to have a why, because that'll keep you engaged and keep you going. Okay. So again, budget, make sure you allocate any extra funds to debt, identify what you're willing to sacrifice, and then actually sacrifice. And then identify your why. So those are the four things I wanted to tell you all that we did on our journey. So a couple of things that we did not do, as I mentioned, is we did not sacrifice on tithing. We have been tithers since we've been married. So it's really important to us to do what the Lord has asked us to do, which is to give, and to give to his kingdom. And so no matter what we were doing, we always are giving 10% minimum. So you want to make sure that whatever your belief is, hopefully is the same, that you are giving. Number two is my personal care, as I talked about, and my husband's things that he wanted to do, and our children. So, we wanted to make sure they have fun. We want to make sure that they're in the best situation possible. Not have everything. So we did stop, buying certain things for them because it was just extra for no real reason. But, not sacrificing too much where we just felt that it wasn't right. So, that's why we decided, okay, we want you to have some fun, play video games. That's what you do as a boy. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to set an amount, and we're going to try to stick to that as much as we can. So, that, and we did not stop giving to others, when we felt the spirit, the uttering of the spirit to do that. And we did not stop Christmas. Now I love Christmas. I grew up around having great Christmases. That's important to me. I want my children to have a good Christmas. And so Harry probably can care less about it, but but I like that time and spending that time and showering them with love, first of all. But also with in the spirit of giving, to give to others, but also for them to have a couple of gifts too. So I know that that's important to me. So I save for that, and I save a big amount for that. So that's something that I wasn't willing to sacrifice, but I did the sinking fund, right? I established this is what I want to spend, and then this is how much I'm going to save every month in order to do that. So I just wanted to share those tips with you. Hopefully you found those helpful. If you have additional questions, let me know. I have a very good friend. If you have not listened to two podcast episodes that I have with her, her name is Koya Cook, and she's a financial educator. And so she helped us along this journey, helped us to determine our, more things that we could do with our budget. She helped us with, hey, you need to make sure you're maxing out your 401k, because we did that as well. And I wouldn't say all throughout the journey, but at parts of the journey, we definitely, increased our 401k as well. So she helped us along this journey. And so I'll do what I can to help answer your questions, but I would love to refer you to her. She's phenomenal. She's real. She's transparent. She's going to tell you, what like a TI is, right? But she's also works in finance for a living. So definitely someone that's trustworthy. So again, whatever I can't do for you or pour out to you, I certainly want to encourage you to follow her at The Money Cook. You can find her on Facebook as well as Instagram, and I'm sure she'd be more than happy to help you as well. So let us know what your questions are, and we will do our best to support and answer those for you. But what I want to leave you with is this: you can do it. Discipline, sacrifice, living as much as you can below your means, and trusting God. Give to Him first and trust in Him, and it will come to pass. If you're married, get on the same page with your spouse. You have to be going in the same direction. So make sure that you do that as well. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for all of your support. And if you have not watched the video, please go on Facebook and watch the video. It's called Special Announcement. And we would love to again hear your comments and your questions. All right. Be blessed.